Welcome to the Online Entrepreneur Experience podcast that details the ins and outs, the how-tos, and the ups and downs of living a life of an online business owner.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Online Entrepreneur Experience. My boy Deuces is over there. He's ready to just crush this month. I think this is the most pumped I've ever seen him ever be pumped for a month. I am the Viking marketer, and we're going to be blowing your mind with partnering with your future self. And I know that sounds a little bit weird because even when I said it to Renee, he kind of tripped up. He's like, "So Mark, you sound like you're going to be traveling time. You're a crazy person." But I'm not. So now that you understand it, Renee, do you want to explain a little bit more to people?
So what we mean by partnering with your future self, what Mark meant by partnering with your future self, and what I had to dig to get out of him was it's like making the choices today that your future self will thank you for. And I know a lot of you have probably heard that saying before as well, but we want to dive in. We want to unpack that a little bit more in this podcast today.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you often see people and you can do it because we're coaches. We deal with people every single day, and we're training them to create businesses and financial freedom and all these things that they desire in their life, right? And I've talked to people prior to them coming in and prior to starting to work with them, and they'll tell me hey, Mark, well, just give me a day or two to figure out my financial situation so I can work with you. I'm like, cool, man, let's do it. And then all of a sudden I see on their Facebook feed 90 days later, they're in the exact same place. They're complaining about not having money and all those type of things. And what they did was just continue to be the exact same person that they've always been. So you get the exact same results because history repeats itself, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been in the exact same position where you talk to someone and like Mark said, 90 days later, you see them needing money, or you see them. This is the funniest thing to me. They share a meme or something on Facebook that says, "Oh, claim this and money will enter into your wallet tomorrow." And you see them post, they're like, "Yeah, I claim it." It's like, it just goes to show you the mentality of some people that expect something for no work. And I gotta be honest with you guys, that's never worked for anybody. It's never worked for anyone in the past. It's not gonna work today. It's not gonna work tomorrow.
No, I mean, unless you're a magician of some sort that you can just legitimately take blood from stone, that's the only way that it's going to actually happen, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because Renee and me joke around about it all the time, and not saying that people shouldn't have vision boards and whatnot, but we joke around. It's oh yeah, we put it up on the vision board, so it's going to happen. And there's this one really funny GIF that I sent Renee the other day because I think it just broke it down perfectly. But it's those kind of things, those kind of mentalities that if you look at yourself, if you're talking to yourself, say in 6 months from now, would that person be proud of the decisions that you're making right now?
Yeah, that's huge. That is so huge, because a lot of people think we're just talking from now until the future. But what about 6 months ago? What if you started 6 months ago? Where would you be today? So that's why we want to focus on what can you do today that's going to push you ahead 6 months from
well, it's
today.
funny, it's the anti-regret, right? It's legitimately flipping regret on its back. And it's just you hear all these people talk about regrets that they have and things that they wish they would have done 6 months ago or a year ago, but then they continue not to do anything about it, right? And it's just what are you doing? You realize in 6 months or a year from now, you're going to be saying the exact same thing. And that's it. It's how are you partnering with yourself to get the goals that you want in the future? So if in 6 months from now, if you want to be making $10,000, you've never made $10,000 in a month, continuing the same actions will never lead you to being able to do that, right? So you have to start making those changes. If it's subtle changes, monumental changes, I'm not sure. Everyone has to make different changes to do that. I mean, everyone talks about that magic $10,000 number. It may not be that for you, but for a lot of people, it is that way, right? It is that $10,000 number, $15,000 number, and that's what you want. That's what you need in your life.
Yeah, and it's not just the monetary side of things either. If you are overweight, this guy. And you do what I do when it comes to weight loss, which is barely anything. You're 6 months from now, I'm still going to be overweight. So unless I make it a priority in my life, and I know that in 6 months from now, I'm turning 40. So I do want to get healthy by then. And it's not going to happen if I don't do anything. So it goes hand in hand with you wanting to make that elusive $10,000 a month. If you want that and you want it bad enough, it's all about the actions today, not tomorrow. Because tomorrow, I've heard this cliche saying too, but tomorrow never comes. And it truly doesn't, because by saying, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, you've got a procrastinator's mindset. And that will never, ever, ever reach you any goal with that sort of mindset.
100%, man. I heard this funny thing the other day, and he said, like, overweight people are more prone to die than anybody else. Even in a terrorist attack, you're a bigger target. You're more prone to get hit by the bullets. And I thought it was so funny, but it's funny true, right? Like it is. It's just like if you're overweight, and I was overweight for a long period of time, you're not healthy, right? Like there's things that you need to be more healthy with, right? And that's not what we're trying to drag on about or anything, but like Renee gets married next Monday. And for like 3 weeks, I've been joking around with him and talking to him about it. Like, oh man, I got to eat healthier. I want to look good for your wedding, all that type of stuff. By the way, I flexed. If you guys are listening audio wise, like as I said, look good. Like obviously you need to flex when you say things like that. But I've been saying it to him, like, I need to do that. And then he came over this last weekend, and prior to him coming over, my car was in the shop, so I didn't have one. So I hadn't gone grocery shopping. So I'm like, bro, like you're coming over, I have no snacks. So like, if you want snacks, you got to bring them over. And he's just like, cool, man. Sounds good. And then he called me and he's like, I'm on my way. I didn't grab snacks. I was like, good choice, man. I've been way overeating. I keep saying I'm going to stop. And then he's like, it's okay. I went and dropped off chips with my wife, and she said, this is the last chips I'm going to eat before wedding. And then the very next day I'm talking to him, and what is she doing again? She's eating chips. I was too. So I'm not hitting up. It's just those things that, like, if you're not like, so when it comes to his day and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh man, like I really wish 3 weeks ago I would have just stopped putting those chips down, put down the spoon. Like that's where you're at, right?
It kind of goes with the power of now. So if you have a thought in your head that you want to do something, make your plan. That's fine. Take some time to make your plan. But when it comes time for the action, do it now. Do it right now, because it goes right back to that whole procrastination mindset. And I said mindset a couple times now because that's where it starts. It all starts with your belief system. Mm-hmm. And if you believe that in 6 months you can reach that $10,000, then, and you're putting in the action every day, then you will reach that goal.
For sure. And like, you just have to ask yourself, like, what are the traits that person does? So like, if you close your eyes, and some people can't do this. And for me, honestly, I couldn't picture myself making $10,000 because I'd never done it before. Not saying that just because you haven't done something, you can't picture it. But for me, that was a weakness when I first got into my business. And I closed my eyes and I was just like, what actions am I taking to make $10,000 in a month? And I couldn't see the actions because I didn't know what it took at that point in time. So I had to lower my scale first and say, like, what are the actions I need to take to make $3,000 in a month? I knew those actions. So then I had to essentially do those actions that a $3,000 per month person would do today. And then once I got that $3,000, I'm sure I would figure out either what the actions of a $5,000 per month person are, or a $10,000 a month person. And it's just starting to like picture yourself being that person that's doing the outcome that you want, and what does that person look like?
Oh shit! That's huge, man. That's massive, because I hate to keep bringing this back to weight loss, but it's been bugging me because I should have lost this weight before my wedding next week, but I didn't. So when I went to the gym and I even seeked out help, and I said, I need to lose 30 pounds in 2 months. But that's all my focus was. And it was very difficult to actually put those actions into place. So if you can baby step it the way Mark was saying, that's massive. I feel that if I would have had that mentality 3 months ago, I would be at the weight that I want to be today.
I think that's so cool and huge, like so cool and huge, because I think that's something that people just don't get, right? Like they just don't get like really what it takes. And it's just like, I think it comes to our ego. It's like, well, if I don't see it in my head, that's fine. I'll still be able to just achieve it. I'll just do whatever and it should just come to me. And it's just like, no, you can't just do whatever. You actually have to do the actions that go that way, right? And that's just being unaligned with your end goal, right? So I think that's kind of those things, is taking those baby steps there. And once you've got that little bit of the way, it'll be like 2 weeks, I need to lose 5 pounds. Be like, perfect. What are the steps that I need to do? Okay, go to the gym 4 times, eat less calories, just a little bit less. Let's see what happens in those 2 weeks. And you just judge it from there, right? Because it is really hard. I think one of the things that I see so often, especially in the health space, is people say that I'm going to make you a customized plan for you, but they don't know who you are and they don't know how your body works. And you can't really do that. And they only talk to you once and they send you a plan. Well, that plan probably might have worked for an A body type, but you may be a D body type that looks like an A body type or functions like an A body type. So what actually functions for you is something different. And then that plan won't work and then you feel defeated. And I think that is the biggest thing, is people will end up being defeated after 2 weeks of making the wrong choices. And then that 3-month goal goes out the window because it's been 2 weeks and they're like, oh, I can never get there because I can't even get to here.
Yeah, and that is massive. I mean, I wrote a post, oh man, probably 8 months ago now. And I said basically the exact same thing about taking action today to get the results that you want in the future. And if you can't picture yourself in the win space, if you can't picture yourself with the results and then focus on the goals, you will never reach it. And I know we've been talking a lot about weight loss, but ultimately we're here for business, because that's what we coach. We coach people that go from 0 to that elusive $10,000 a month, and we do it constant. And
100%. I just think it's easy to quantify for people, right? Like, I think that's the reason why we do it. So we're not trying to focus on you guys being health freaks or anything like that. Honestly, you can make $10,000 in a month and be overweight. I know I was in one of my worst physical shapes when I did that. Like, it was funny. I went to Sayulita, Mexico. We rented this crazy mansion on the side of this mountain with this like amazing view of infinity pool and stuff like that. And I was probably in the worst shape of my life at that moment in time, but I was making some of the best money I'd ever made ever in my life at that moment in time. And it's just like, they don't always have to correlate, right?
yeah, exactly. They don't have to correlate, but it just depends on what your goal is and where you want to end up in 6 months, a year, 5 years. Because I'll say it again, because I love this saying, it's Tony Robbins.
And most people overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in 2 or 3 decades.
So when I say what's your goal in 6 months, it's going to be huge. I know it's going to be big, and it's going to be a lot bigger than you're actually going to be able to reach. So having that mentality, I usually try to talk them down a little bit. Like, no, in 6 months, you're not going to have a cabin by a river up in the mountains. It's not going to happen.
You're not going to go from $20,000 a year to $20 million a year. It's just, I'm sorry, it's just not gonna
not in 6 months, but maybe in 6 years.
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
to hit that goal in 6 years, is that worth it? Is it worth putting in the work every day today to reach that?
Yeah, exactly. And I like, in the end of the day, guys, just start. Like, if you're saying you regret something, and there's always something that you regret, I'm going to tell you right now, you regret something in your life, because everyone does. And it's okay. Even if you're one of those people that say no regrets, but you know, like, maybe you're that kind of person, but you still have some type of regret, and it's okay. But you just have to flip that on the head. If you regret that, What do you have to do at this moment in time? So in X amount of days, X amount of months, that you won't regret that. And just start working backwards, reverse engineer, right?
Yeah, that's a great tip to figure out what you want, is to know what you don't want.
Yeah,
and
for
then
sure. Like neck tattoos that are misspelled, probably don't want those.
Yeah, no regrets. Yeah. So I think we kind of cover all the bases here today, guys. It's all, like I said, just to reiterate, it's about knowing where you want to go and putting in the action today in order to get there.
Boom. Do that, guys. You'll hit every fucking goal you ever want.
Every single one. There was even a swear word with that. That's how serious he was.
Power, bro. That was a power word.
Well, now we can't have it under 18.
You're welcome.
Right on.
Awesome, guys. Well, we appreciate you tuning in for another episode. We look forward to seeing you next week and in the comment section when we have a conversation.
Awesome. Okay, take care, guys.
Thanks for tuning into the Online Entrepreneur Experience. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes that we're releasing and any of these amazing pieces of value that we're giving out. And if you could take the time out of your day and leave us a review, we'd be so grateful. We look forward to seeing you on that next episode.